As we heard from Representative Hudson, Congress is working on the reauthorization of the Pandemic and All Hazards Preparedness Act, which established ASPR and BARDA. Our next speakers will discuss ASPR policies and proposals under consideration by Congress, including those based on lessons learned from COVID-19. Please extend another warm welcome to the ASPR Chief Strategy Officer, Ms. Kimberly Espinosa, and the Director of ASPR's Office of Legislative Affairs, Ms. Julie Oxner.
Thanks so much, Linda. It's wonderful to be with all of you today as part of BARDA Industry Day. As Linda said, I'm Kimberly Espinosa, the Chief Strategy Officer here at ASPR. Today, Julie Oxner, ASPR's Director of Legislative Affairs, and I are going to share a little bit more about the Pandemic All Hazard Preparedness Act, which now all of you guys have heard at least 3 times today, is ASPR and BARDA's authorizing legislation. We're going to tag team this, Julie and I, as we do so much these days. I will share first about ASPR's PAHPA priorities, and then Julie will share about our legislative outlook and build on Congressman Hudson's most cheery remarks. As Congressman Hudson outlined, our recent timeline has been 2006 authorization, 2013 reauthorization, 2019 reauthorization. Excuse me. However, what he did not share is that the package itself has expired on September 30th of this year, with limited provisions receiving extensions in the last CR. While ASPR can continue functioning because we are funded and nothing has sunset our specific authorities, PAHPA is the legislative vehicle by which ASPR drives capabilities forward, and now is not the time to be standing still. We've learned a lot since our last reauthorization. And we know it is not a matter of when we will have the next public health emergency or disaster, but a matter of when. Following every response, ASPR looks internally at the processes and operations and identifies where improvements can be made. And of course, this has been particularly true as we move out of the acute phase of the COVID-19 response. Since the beginning of the administration, ASPR O'Connell has been steadfast in evaluating our capabilities and determining what additional authorities ASPR needs to improve our work going forward. To conduct this evaluation, we started by asking two key questions. 1, where do we rely most on our USG partners? And 2, what functions will we lose when those partnerships expire? This evaluation led us to ASPR's top 3 PAHPA priorities: securing the acquisitions authorities necessary, expanding our hiring authorities, and establishing our domestic manufacturing authorities. Given the audience today, I will focus on our top priority, which is securing the acquisitions authorities which made Operation Warp Speed so successful. As so many of you know from navigating the complex HHS-DoD acquisition space over the last several years, it was early in the COVID-19 response when it became clear that HHS could not procure the products our country needed at a speed in which we needed them. As a result, ASPR entered into an MOU with DoD in which they agreed to provide acquisitions supported assistance on our behalf. With their authorities and our funding, and as Gary discussed, DoD executed more than $90 billion in contracts for ASPR over the last 3 years of our acute response. While BARDA and our countermeasure experts were working around the clock, it was DoD's unique authorities which allowed us to move at a historic pace when investing in early-stage vaccines, therapies, and diagnostics. DoD used a patchwork of dozens of distinct contracting authorities in support of the OWS mission. But ASPR is requesting only 3 of the most consequential. First, prototype authority. DoD is able to fund promising prototypes and then move the successful ones through the advanced research pipeline without having to recompete contracts. This authority was used by DoD to procure 5 of the 6 COVID-19 vaccines on behalf of HHS. ASPR's current authorities, on the other hand, require us to stop and recompete the contracts when they move from one stage of development to the next. This authority to award follow-on production contracts from prototypes without competing the requirements would allow ASPR to partner more quickly with all of you. Second, expanded OTA authority. ASPR currently has very narrow OTA authorities, but when the country is relying on us to work faster and smarter, our contracting officers must be able to enter into OTAs for specific circumstances when those mechanisms are not likely to achieve the best results or provide the best value to the government. And finally, commercial solutions opening, or CSO authority. CSO authority would allow ASPR to directly acquire innovative and emerging technologies, like we did on the mRNA platform, that we would need to meet our requirements, but fall outside the parameters of a standard BAA. If authorized, these proposals will ensure ASPR efficiently can work with all of you, and that's why it was so important that I be able to share our authorities here today. We know that we don't do this work alone or in a vacuum. This is a partnership with everybody. Building partnerships and expanding how we think together about some of our nation's toughest problems, that's why BARDA Industry Day is all about. Nothing could be more salient than working together to make sure we're all best positioned to have what we need at the speed in which we need them when the next big one hits. I appreciate how many in this room today have been using their voices to further these priorities, and I hope to be able to partner with more of you in the coming months. Now, over to Julie Oxner.
Good morning. I am Julie Oxner. I'm the Director of Congressional Affairs for ASPR, and I know you've heard a lot about PAHPA today, so I'm going to focus on what our engagement strategy is with the Hill, how we're pushing these forward, how we're actually making the pitch to say this is where our gaps are, this is how we could enhance our office and our operations generally, and continue to build on the success that BARDA's had since 2006. 84 countermeasures is impressive, and we need to ensure Congress knows how hard that is, what an uphill climb that can be, and how we can work forward and be better prepared going forward out of a pandemic. So ASPR's congressional strategy engagement's pretty dynamic. Kimberly just mentioned all of the authorities that we're seeking coming out of, again, the COVID pandemic, looking at how we can enhance the operations in the organization. So my job is really to work with Congress to educate them on what these gaps are and how they'll improve us going forward. We've been targeting over a year now our committees of primary jurisdiction. So that's the House Energy and Commerce Committee, and that's the Senate Health, Education, Labor and Pensions Committee. Engaging both the staff, committee staff's important, but also going down dais. So looking at all of the members, making sure they, number one, know who ASPR is, know who BARDA is, know what our mission is and how valuable it is to all of their constituents, and then also showcase where we want to go in the future. We've been offering traditional meet and greets, traditional education opportunities, but we've also been furthering that. We offer these sessions that are called Lunch and Learns. These are opportunities where we pick a program and we allow staff to do a virtual drop-in and just hear for an hour about some initiative, some program, some effort that we're doing, and just make it really casual and really informal so they can ask questions. It's a safe space. They can have a dialogue from all of the wonderful experts we have within the organization. We're also offering a number of site visits now that we're coming back in person. We're offering site visits to some of our warehouses. We're offering site visits to our operations centers because coming in, meeting our staff, hearing about what we're doing firsthand is really important for staff to understand what our mission is and how critical we are to furthering preparedness and response. Lastly, we're responding to a number of requests for information. I just make sure I have an open line. I'm always reachable. I make sure staff know how to get me. It's really been critical the last couple months as they're looking at the CRs, as they're looking at our funding bill. So just making sure that I'm always accessible, available. I have a little team I call a small but mighty, and we all make sure that we have kind of a backbench there because that's important. I don't want this single point of failure to be, I don't answer my phone call when a bill is being passed, so we make sure we just have a dynamic team there. We also are engaging on the appropriation side. So I talked about energy and commerce and help. We're also doing a very engaged strategy with all of our appropriations friends. And as Congressman Hudson mentioned this morning, there's hope that there might be a budget in some form or fashion. So really just working with them, making them know what contracts we have coming up, what funding we might need in the next month or two to push something forward so that if there is a CR, we could possibly get a rider or some kind of funding included for that. And switching slightly to the road for reauthorization, you heard it straight from the source this morning, but Congressman Hudson, he noted all of the challenges that are there. So again, we're just continuing to drive the strategy, to educate, to promote, to show the importance. We're tracking 7 authorities that do, or 5 of them actually expired in September, as Kimberly mentioned. There's 2 more BARDA authorities that expire in a couple weeks. So just really showing staff how important these expiring authorities are. Some of them are some direct hire provisions that allow our National Disaster Medical System to actually pull team members, really important for response operations. And then for BARDA, there's a couple that will impact some relationships, so we're trying to make sure those are stressed. And we're hearing really good things. We're hearing that if there is a CR, it hopefully will be included, so that's a good sign. But until PAHPA passes, we have to work through that process to make sure that they're all covered. So that's what we're doing. That's our dynamic approach. Again, we're trying to just cover all aspects of engagement. Again, primarily just making sure staff know who we are, what we do, and how we support all of their constituents and are moving the needle forward in preparedness and response. So appreciate the time today. Look forward to seeing some of you around and about throughout the next 2 days.